Welcome to the Mashup.
Tell me whether I'm wrong or right. East or west, up or down, side to side. I sit to stand and fall to fly. Of all of my impulsive plans, pop and lock and salsa dances on demand. I follow leading off the map, I stop the chatter, scream happily.
Welcome to the Mashup.
Welcome to the mashup. Welcome to the welcome to the mashup.
Welcome to the Mashup.
We use quantum computing now, but nobody understands it. And apparently the technology of it rests on there being a multiverse, and the components in the quantum computer, those atoms exist in other multiverses, and they use the computing power in those other multiverses to come up with the answers here. So they're just bogarting the atoms of other multiverse universes. So in theory, there is some parallel universe where you're doing some crazy calculation on a quantum computer, and a squirrel over there will just start saying like x squared plus 9 equals 7.
What are you talking about?
Quantum computing, like the whole idea is that they're bogarting the computing power of parallel universes. And so those atoms that are in that computer also exist in other parallel universes, and they're using the parallel universe to do the computation. And that's why it can be done in any sort of a reasonable time instead of some ridiculous calculation that was going to never happen before the heat death of the universe. But in theory, those atoms in those other parallel universes are doing the calculations. So just there's some equally handsome Sean Newman in some parallel universe who all of a sudden starts spouting off quadratic equations.
I hope I'm not
And
the only
we're
one
not
scratching.
thinking about that. And here's the thing is, in theory,
Am I the only
places,
one scratching my head this morning with twos? Probably.
other places
Probably not. It's
should have
probably just me.
invented quantum computing by now. It's ludicrous to think that if there's that many parallel universes, we are the first one. And if there are that many parallel universes, how come my hat doesn't just start spouting off arithmetic? I don't understand it. I don't think we've thought this through all the way, and there's holes in it.
Welcome to Mashup 185, folks, where we're all scratching our head this morning with twos. Twos, how are you doing today, other than the quantum computing conundrum?
Well, that's the thing. I'm scratching my head too.
All right. Well, a head scratcher to begin Mashup 185. Welcome aboard, everyone. Happy Airborne Friday. Like it wouldn't be a Friday if Jamie didn't send me a video that, no, Jamie, I've not watched. Now I know you're just getting me annoyed every Friday morning. But happy Airborne Friday, all the military boys out there. In Two's Theory,
Kevin says in Two's Theory there could be millions of confused Seans.
Yes,
the
best looking Seans all across the universes are all going, what is Two's talking about? Yes.
I mean, think about it.
Kevin.
In an infinite number of parallel universes, there's one where you start off with rants and I'm shaking my head.
Yes. Somewhere that existence probably does exist. Yes. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Mashup 185. If you enjoy the show, make sure you like, you share. Folks, if you're watching this on X or anywhere else, hit the retweet button. Let's get it out to a few more folks. As we know, we really rely on our audience to help us get the message out.
If you have a quantum computer, use it, share it using that so that we can also get into the parallel universes.
Okay. Yeah. Somewhere. Yeah. All right. Somewhere everybody's scratching their head. Okay. Coots 6.5 this week. I thought I'd bring up a former guest of the show, Tamara Leach. Here's what she's wrote. Shout out to the MHPS, that's Medicine Hat, for keeping our streets safe. I'm happy to report that my very first police check at 12:26 in the morning of Wednesday was a success. Thanks for ensuring mischief is not being spread on the streets of Medicine Hat. We focus on a lot of the different things going on in the judicial system. Tamara Leach having wellness checks at the wee hours of the morning seems to be where we're going to, is with everything going on in our society.
Okay, what happens if they come to a wellness check on you and you're just out cold. Like maybe like I'm a really deep sleeper.
Well, she pointed to the fact that I think it was her daughter came home and actually notified her because she was sleeping and had her phone on do not disturb at 12 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
As
So
normal
I assume
people do.
I don't know. Maybe a police officer can text in and tell us. Did they kick down the door?
That's maybe not something you want to set a lot of precedent on, but I like it's because I mean,
Yes.
here's the thing. Like in theory, they could just wait till morning, and then because if they're watching the place and they come by at like 8 in the morning and they see somebody's up and they go knock on the door. Oh, hey Tamara. Yeah, okay, cool. We're good. Like, why 12:26 in the morning? It seems like you're trying to make something happen.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Well, I tell you what, we've got a guest sitting in the background. We're going to get to Mr. Shane Getson, MLA. Shane, here, we'll bring you in. Welcome aboard. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are we doing?
We're doing good.
I think we're doing good. Twos is wearing his Rough Rider jersey. Sorry to all the Eskimo / well, not Eskimo now. What are they? The Elks.
No, they're still the
Alouettes.
Yes.
But yeah.
I mean, to the Alberta football fans, sorry, Saskatchewan's on top this year. And Montreal, Twos, are you going to apologize to Montreal fans? No, you're not.
For what?
Exactly. It was a Saskatchewan win. Now, okay.
What do I have to apologize to anybody in Quebec for at all ever?
We're the reason Shane is on. Okay, here's the headline. Alberta MLA compares transgender surgery to livestock castration. You've been all over the headlines. Shane, there was a time when you were on the show when they would never even quote anything you said. Now they take a 10-minute, very well done.
Very well.
I don't know if it's speech or I don't know what they call it. You can tell me what they call it. But anyways, 10 minutes in the Alberta legislature, and they picked on a couple words and now are smearing you incessantly of comparing transgender surgery to livestock castration. You're
actually just before you get to that real quick, I would just like to point out that they have since updated the headline here. The first time I read this article, the headline said Alberta backbench MLA compares transgender surgery to livestock castration.
Now you're just Alberta MLA.
Yeah. Yeah. They explicitly called you a backbencher in the original headline.
Yeah. So it was a speech after listening to 90 minutes. That's a 9-0. That's an hour and a half of my life I will never get back from the official leader of the opposition. And, fellas, if I'm in there sitting on the opposite side from those guys and wondering where the heck is Rachel Nodley, guaranteed their own people are asking the same thing. Like trying to compare people. Wow. Like the best thing that we can do is to give that guy a microphone and let him go. And if people could actually watch that rather than listen to the snippets that the media chooses to throw out there, we would be in such a better place. So yeah, it was a response to a 90-minute speech in which he called me out several times as the backbencher from across the aisle. If he has anything to say, he should get up and say it. Well, technically, I can't. You can't interrupt when they're on these 90-minute speeches. So there's massive amounts of time afforded to the leader of the official government, so the premier, and massive amounts of time allotted to the opposition leaders. I can't interject. So the guy doesn't understand how the system works. Fine, he's new there. But to try to call you out and drop the gloves, it's like, come on. And this guy heckles nonstop. Like he's been called, I don't know how many times for trying to bring the level of decorum down the house. So I was doing what Tikkanen would do. When you're in a game, you kind of get in the corners and you chip a bit. And what drives him bonkers, as do most Champagne socialists, is when you don't take them serious. Like some of the stuff that he says in there is just so outlandish. And he surrounds himself with sycophants that jump up and down and applaud him. And I'm sitting there looking at this going, this is ridiculous. So at the end of 90 minutes, there was only 10 minutes left in the session, of which, and you guys have seen it, I got up in there and I didn't take an approach that was combative. I didn't do any of that. I sat and listened to this, and the legislation that we've already passed through the House dealing with a number of items, both the healthcare side of it, school and sports. We've already passed this. It's already reached royal assent. This is what's out there.
Oh, no.
So the fact that we're right, where most recently we had Supreme Court judges saying pedophilia is okay to have that stuff on your computer, and if you're caught with it, well, it's too bad for you. It's not fair to put you in jail right away, 1-year sentence. We find ourselves in this weird state where you've got these lobbyist groups challenging law that's been put out there with the best intent that's reached the process. At the same time, you've got Big Daddy Gil McGowan running out there saying, as a union leader who actually ran for the NDP and who sits, as far as I know, on their executive board, saying they're going to take down the government. Like, this is really strange stuff. So we invoke the Notwithstanding Act to make sure that law that we passed out there gives a sober second thought on policy to make sure that kids can make choices and parents can have the ability to be there with those kids to make choices at an appropriate time and age that doesn't cause irreparable damage. And they take this God's honest truth, if people please take the time to watch it. A very heartfelt speech. I shared some things from my past as well to know I kind of understand where we come from to make these things. We don't make these decisions lightly. So to have literally the NDP leader mad because I chirped him a bit in the House and he called me out and I gave a good speech, to go down to that level to try to pick on a lowly little MLA and then use his propaganda arm to go and do this, it's absolutely just bizarre world.
One minor correction. Gil McGowan didn't actually run for NDP leadership because he couldn't get enough money, and so he had to back out before the deadline to actually give them.
I appreciate
the money.
that. So hopeful candidate, hopeful.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean,
yeah.
You can see why a guy like that really would be interested in the NDP. They've been proponents of having universal dental care, and that guy's teeth are just a little bit lighter than the official orange of NDP.
Yeah.
Twos, this is like saying they allegedly broke in. He actually ran. He just couldn't jump through the hoops to get to the furthest state of running. He ran. He just wasn't successful.
He walked.
Sure. Okay. Well, with Shane on twos, you had a whole bunch of things in here. Is there anything you want to ask him about?
Okay. So one of the things you touched on it in the 10-minute speech, but there's been, I feel like most of the pushback that you guys are getting are from people who just fundamentally don't understand the notwithstanding clause.
Yeah, the biggest issue that I have, I've referenced Charlie Kirk in this, to try to talk and bring down the rhetoric. What happens is, and I believe there's two parts here that are really very concerning for me. The media has a role to play in this.
Mm-hmm.
When you have an event that takes place and you hyper partisan and you're doing all this, they're literally doing things for clickbait. They're trying to get you to go to the next link. They're trying to sell their headlines. Okay. But they're also slanted in a certain direction, and they're doing that. When you have somebody executed, literally assassinated and shot in an open venue because you've got people so amped up and don't want to hear dialogue, maybe we should just consider what we're doing there. You would think that there would be some journalistic integrity. The same thing holds true with the opposition. So they know they can't beat us on anything that's really decent. They can't beat us on the economy. They can't beat us on foreign engagement. They can't beat us on the health file. They can't beat us on these things. So what they end up doing is it's not even truthiness, it's lies. They literally throw this stuff out there, they twist things, and they get people's emotions going. And that's literally how they keep feeding this machine. And that's what I was trying to do, you guys, was to dispel that and say, okay, knock this off. Let's stop. Let's see where people are coming from. Let's get this to a personal level. And even the heckling from the opposition, once I shared, me growing up wasn't exactly a bed of roses. It wasn't the worst out there, as people had it worse than me, but sharing that very personal thing, even the opposition members just quietened right down in the House.
Mm-hmm.
So to take it from there, now you're going to kick people in the shins and do exactly what I said we didn't want people to do. We don't want people running around all amped up, think we're going after them, that we're going around with these draconian measures. Like, my gosh, people have enough to worry about in the world right now other than having us stirred up and making it even tougher on them.
Hmm. You're absolutely right about the media. I just wanted to here's a great case in point. So Dwayne Bratt, who purports himself to be neutral political commentator, he's a prof at MRU. He's been talking about this quite a bit because he hates you guys almost as much as Nenshi does. And then Tyler Dawson, who is from the Globe and Mail, said, so Dwayne's just talking here about no evidence is provided about the amount of surgery occurring below 18. And Tyler says, I reported on this in 2024. There were 8 top surgeries in 2022-23, and minors were already ineligible for bottom surgery. And so, and then,
and this
and
is
then
where
he
the
says,
part that frustrates me. So here's what the left does. They love animals. They love bugs and bunnies. They're the environmental saviors. Just ask them, because nobody else ever hunts or fishes or grows anything. So they take that as one of their bastions. So they'll protect everything furry and fuzzy. They'll do that. But when it gets to people, the actual surgery, even what they're doing, bottom surgery, okay, if I put it in the context of cattle, this is where they lose their mind, because everybody can understand what happens to a cow. If I have a cow and it's a heifer, it is yet to be a fully matured female. She has not yet had a calf. She has not yet produced milk for offspring. If I were to take a heifer and I were to cut off its udder, that is no longer a viable cow that could produce milk to support its offspring. If I was to have that same heifer remove its uterus, it no longer would be able to do that. And this is just talking surgery, not comparing people, not talking about one affiliation, the other, just going through the basic items. When they start to go down the path, and when they start to see that their nice little cutesy word usage of bottom and top surgery goes away, they start to make that own mental map themselves. And this is where the guilt starts to come in. Because even when you turn the clock down, and now this heifer has reached full maturity, I'm going to glue a plastic udder on it, and I'm going to stick in a synthetic uterus. What happens? Like, we know that there's a ton of surgical risk that takes place. We know that it's probably not going to be efficacious in what has to happen in life. And that's where they draw their conclusions. I did not compare kids to animals. I compared what I knew growing up on a farm of what happens when you castrate an animal, particularly a young bull calf, making them a steer, that you're removing parts. These don't go back on. A lot of people have never considered that have removed themselves with these nice cutesies and all this bubble they put around themselves of the harsh realities of the physical world or physical surgery. What I said was not inaccurate and by no way compared it to children. But they draw these conclusions because, quite frankly, my hypothesis in this, the guilty truth starts to come out and they start to feel really bad about it. So they want to alienate it and put it on some other nice ideological thing. This is the problem right now. If we can't talk about animals and we're uncomfortable with what we do to animals to create sandwich meat, then maybe we need a sober second thought on the policies of what we're doing when it comes to our children.
Well, you're absolutely right. And, just look at the way it's kind of attempted to be framed. First off, this was some far right conspiracy theory that definitely wasn't happening. And then now it's like, it's okay, but it's only uppers. It's only top surgeries. This is like when Trudeau came out with all those famous pictures and they're like, oh, well, it would sound bad if we called it blackface, so we're just going to call it brown face. And here's the thing, is an upper surgery is still a pretty big deal because those don't grow back either. But it's funny because he gets in this conversation where I recall that reporting, but numbers were not part of the government's messaging. They just said they were preventing children from making life-altering decisions, and then agreed there hasn't been any data provided that I've seen in recent months. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you don't really need to collect data on whether that's life-altering or not.
Oh, it's life-altering. The other thing, too, is that, and I made reference to it in the speech as well, that other jurisdictions across the pond, so in Europe and otherwise, that were far more ahead of this than we are, they're retracting. They're backpedaling on their policies and pulling it back as well. So,
absolutely. New Zealand,
they're seeing the fallacies.
New Zealand just this week, all the all of the classic socialist countries, you know, the Scandinavian socialists that the left likes to point to as this far off utopia, have all said we're not doing any of this anymore.
Yeah.
But they always like to handpick things.
Yeah, New Zealand. The headline you're talking about: New Zealand halts new puberty blockers for young transgender people. This was just this week. That's been one of the newest ones out there, among other places, not just New Zealand.
Yeah, and again, we're settled. We were one of the first jurisdictions, obviously, the only province to do this in Canada at the time. We were kind of leading to. The European Union wasn't quite there with us, but we've already passed this legislation. That was last sitting, you guys. So it's already enacted. It's already gone through a democratic process, whether the opposition wants to respect that or not, or people out there. If you actually do believe in representative democracy, we are flexing it. It went through the House. So now you have the judiciary, which, and I said in that speech as well, I cannot look my constituents, myself, my kids, anyone in the face and say, okay, it's okay to have child porn. Oh, it's too bad. Too bad for victimizing all those kids. Well, the person that has it on there, yeah, no, we shouldn't really punish them. Like, this is the decision process that it's at. So to see when these other challenges are coming through, that is even more sensitive. We've passed laws. We pass the laws in the House. The judiciary enforces the laws. That's how it works in our system. Full stop. Within the Constitution, we have powers that were put in there, which the Constitution is older than all three of us here on the phone, so to speak. Mm-hmm. When they put it in place, they knew that there were no absolutes. You always had to have that override by the will of the people to make sure the judiciary was always in check, and it was relevant. It's modernized through the democratic process. That's what we're doing. So for them to jump up and down and say we're overreaching and inalienable rights, and no, we're not. We're actually following the Constitution and the mechanisms at this really strange, weird point in time where doing these type of surgeries to children is normalized, and thinking a kid can make these decisions without their parents' involvement at that time is something okay. Like, it's just not there. So that's what we're doing, folks. We're not going off the rails. We're doing the right things.
Before we let you out of here, I was curious to get your thoughts. I'm sure Tooz has a bunch of questions there, but our conversations on the podcast have talked a lot about economic corridors and different projects that, Alberta would like to see. I would assume other places like to see as well. One of the headlines we have is Ottawa, Alberta, close to a deal that includes oil pipeline to BC coast. I don't know if you can comment on this, but I am curious.
I'm definitely going to ask for a comment. I'm definitely going to ask for a comment on this leaked document. Are you prepared today to make the announcement on the mashup that you reached a memorandum? Is that?
I apologize for my rant on the other ones, guys. A little dear in my heart when it comes to kids. I do appreciate.
You don't need to apologize for nothing. No, you're being absolutely hammered in the legacy media on taking comments out of context when there's a 10-minute
on a very
video
common sense stance.
Yes,
it's that, and that's the frightening part. Like, we can't have discourse in the House because it's on Twitter, and we can't even have the media report what was in the House fairly. It's just.
Now, I'm not going to let you deflect, though. Ottawa, Alberta, are they coming closer to a deal? Because the Grey Cup was supposed to be it.
Hey, we've never been closer. So part of the thing, Sean, you've been asking me in twos about the economic corridors. You're starting to see that model come into effect. Let's put it that way. So very, very happy to see the progress. I would have liked to seen a lot more progress. I would have loved to seen them actually fully embrace what the economic corridors are. Like last May, we had all the premiers in Western Canada and the North sign off on it. We had EB kind of bucking at the chute towards the end here. But in the country's national interest, yeah, we're starting to see some of those take effect. I think that there's a massive need, not only globally, but realistically, the country's friggin' broke. They ran us into the poorhouse and beyond. Mm-hmm. We're getting to the point where you can't borrow cash. That's kind of bad. Alberta, we're seeing some downturns, obviously with the resource side. We're flexing the economy doing that. We can still borrow money and do that, but we're definitely not in a good spot. And the only way you let us out of the box is you unleash the West and you get the products to market that people want. And quite frankly, try to start to erode a bit of that differential that takes place when you're sending it just to one of our largest customers. So you want to do that. So finally seeing the proof in the pudding. The too bad part was we had to go damn near broke with all this other wackadoo woke stuff and these freaky deaky socialist policies to get us to this point. But we're getting close, and hopefully that folks will understand that this is one of the only ways we can get out of it. We need to get our stuff built. We need to build things again. We need to get products to market.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. We're going to talk about it a little bit later on. But there was like the actual, I think it was the privy to the Clerk's Council. I can't remember exactly. We'll see when we get to the article. But people in the federal government are starting to call for reductions in red tape. And actually, Dale Nally, he's still the Minister of Red Tape Reduction, right?
Yeah, we put through our 10th red tape bill just the other day.
Irony aside,
well, you got to put something in the House to take it away. That's how it works.
Yes,
it's funny.
I know.
Otherwise, you'd have the judiciary just changing the laws.
I know. But does he ever, or does that office ever try to work with the federal government? I understand that it's a provincial mandate.
They do. But I mean, there's so mainly Minister Nally's focus is internally, obviously, but every minister has a portfolio, and some of those overlap, and they have interface points. I believe that they get together and they all try to figure out how to harmonize some of these rules, regulatory compliance items. But the heavy lifting would typically be done through the actual ministries, and then Dale's group is trying to gather all that stuff together and then mince it up.
Okay. But now with Sean's question about the announcement, and I guess you can't, if you're not ready, fair enough. But the Grey Cup deadline did come and go.
Yeah, it wasn't our deadline. We would have announced something like this, like when we actually announced something like this, like we wanted it since 2009, as far as I can recall. So it's not our announcement to make.
Yeah, but it was Danielle Smith's deadline. It was Grey Cup weekend. She wanted the 9 bad.
It's a strong target date. We can move the Grey Cup back, and it would have been a moot point. But we're getting close, and it's not us moving the lines. Like we were prepared to say something. It's a work in progress, but we've never been closer.
Okay, all right. Now Sean's got the.
If that isn't a political answer, I don't know what is, Twos.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: is like one of the love-hate things about Shane is that he's incredibly good at talking circles around me and anybody, and so you're just like, love to have him on, but I'm gonna be befuddled at a few points, and I'm probably not gonna hear everything I want to hear.
Well, brother, I wish I could tell you, yeah, this is what we're doing. But part of the superstitious part of me, too, is don't screw up something until you land it. So until there's ink on that paper, until they've settled everything they need to, I would consider or put this out there for cautious optimism. Let's just get through that last little bit, but we've never been closer to having a good news story.
Twos, my frustration with Shane is we've been talking about economic corridors. Shane, you know this, since 2021. Mm-hmm. We're sitting in 2025. And you're optimistic. I don't know what word I am at this point. Probably annoyed more than anything that we can't have Shane on. Just be like, oh yeah, economic corridors start beginning of 2026. Life's going to be grand.
I could tell you what
God's truth, but it part of it to you guys is we might call it an economic corridor. Somebody else might call it a ports to ports. Somebody else might call it a transportation corridor. Another one might call it an energy corridor. So when you look at all of that, my frustration is just call it an economic corridor and you can build all that stuff within it. But everybody still is stuck in convention and they go back to, and even if I looked at a pipeline to the West Coast, my tact would have been talk about the economic corridor to the West Coast. What can we put in that? It would have depoliticized a bunch of this. But instead, our politicians and policymakers want to fall back to the known, which is to fight over one single friggin' pipeline. That's my frustration. So I share that with you guys.
Well, I mean, you just have to explain to people that it's for transporting the products that we extract from the healthcare sands.
Yes, it was Mother Nature's worst hair day. We're just cleaning up her environmental spill, her oil spill.
Yeah, and it so happens that it happens to pay for everything that you guys like.
Yeah, everything that you want free.
Alberta's got a new license plate coming. 240,000 voters over 3 rounds of balloting. The winner for the new Alberta license plate design is the one featuring Moraine Lake. The new license plate expected out by the middle of 2026. And the new, sports the provincial motto, strong and free.
Here.
It, I haven't, granted the NDP's had a few other things to be worried about this week, but I feel like this perfectly encapsulates the two sides of politics in Alberta. You've got the conservative side that wants everything in Alberta to be strong, and the socialist side that wants everything in Canada or everything in Alberta to be free.
I've never looked at it that way, but I might use that in the house. I'll quote you on that.
By all means.
If twos gets quoted in the house, I'm never going to hear the end of it. Shane,
that is correct.
Well, now I'm definitely doing it.
Correct.
Shane, thanks for hopping on with us. And
one more hot seat. Alberta plans to allow doctors to deliver public and private services, some leaked documents and unnamed experts, and all that usual stuff.
Yeah, if people could just wait a few hours, we'll have it all released in the House. That's always my frustration on that stuff. Loose lip sync ships and all those things. At one point in time, I think I was almost feeling like running around the hallways there and leaking memos that were just absolutely fictitious things like, unicorns land on Mars or something so they could do it. But whatever. So on this side of it, there's been a ton of work done over the last 6 years that I've been there, consultations, looking at different areas, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. There was a number over in Europe that have done a different model. We already talked about Australia in the past. Singapore is another one. So the ND's typical talking point, the New Democratic Party members over there, they always go back to this American style. So apparently if anything's made in America, it's bad. I don't know. That's not exactly my sentiments, but here we are. So literally, if you look at Germany, you look at Denmark, their systems, they changed about, 25, 30, 40 years ago. They used to be very similar to what we have here in present day, and they couldn't afford it. Lo and behold, they were running out of money. There was a ton of problems in their systems. They weren't getting services. They changed it. So literally, that's what we started looking at, was these other jurisdictions that had changed. They're more modernized, and they can allow their docs the flexibility to work on both sides at a quicker pace. So it gives all the public stuff, it's taken care of, but when you got free room and the doc has free time, well, then he can do those other surgeries. Currently, I think it sits that it takes you about 18 months, so a year and a half, if you're a doc and you decided, hey, I want to go into the public side from the private side. And then conversely, if I want to go from the public to the private side, like a year and a half to try to make this thing, and it was so rigid. So now you've got the flexibility to work on both sides. It allows the patients to literally go in there and get the services they need, and it literally starts taking care of these wait times, and it gives us, quite frankly, better service. There's an ability outside in the private side for them to work more efficiently. If you want to look at the Shouldice model, there's a prime example of what was successfully done in Canada for a number of years as a private model that did hernia operations and were literally used as a Harvard School of Business for the medical side of it as a business model to look at. So we've had massive success stories in Canada with doing that. We've just been embarrassed by them for years. While our administration actually looked at a bunch of the above, what works, and we're going, yeah, this needs to be modernized if we're going to make things work and keep going forward and forward.
Well, I think the idea definitely has a lot of potential. I mean, we were just talking a couple weeks ago about the argument for schools and how there's always that argument that if you want better schools and if you want better results, you have to spend more money. And I was talking about the fact that that's absolutely not true, because if that was an honest argument, people would show any sort of a positive correlation. They'd talk about linear regression and adjusted R-squared values, and they'd say, here's the data that shows that spending more money gives you better outcomes. And instead, in Canada, in our healthcare, this is federal. This is from the Fraser Institute. We're third out of 31 countries in terms of spending as a share of the economy, 27th out of 30 in terms of doctors, 25th out of 30 in terms of care beds, 27th out of 31 in MRI units, 28th out of 31 in CT scanners, and we're last out of 9 countries in surgical wait times. So spending and positive outcomes don't correlate, and
No, but the law of diminishing returns does. So
Yeah.
again, you reach a saturation point or in advocacy, and you have to change your process or your systems. You get too big. Something is to be said for a small, agile company where you can move, and then you got the big lumbering brontosaurus model that bleeds to death before it even knows the saber-toothed tiger has bitten its tail. So that's kind of where we're at. But we keep getting fixated on these things because of ideology versus practicality. And the most important thing, and you'll see this pervasive theme, we're putting Alberta's first ahead of, maybe it's that old antiquated system. Maybe it's a trade affiliation you belong to. Maybe it's a certain ideology. We're putting Albertans first ahead of that and trying to step back, take a sober second look above the noise, see what other people are doing. Nothing worse than navel gazing and sticking in here. And Douglas Adams kind of nailed it perfectly in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where you got the Vogons running around as the bureaucracy. Like, you have to be able to get out and see more than just that to make the machine work. And if you've got other jurisdictions that have successfully done this for 30 years, hey, I don't know, maybe we should look at that and see if it works. And here we are trying to make a change. And we warned people, or at least I did. I asked people, if you think the healthcare system's good. No. Do you want me to fix it? Yes. And then the warning came. If you want me to fix it, you're going to have to let me change it. So that's what you're asking for. We're going to go dig into it, and we're going to make changes where it's going to make the best thing. So you can't go back, tell me to change it, want me to make things better by not allowing me to do my work. So now we're at the work part. Now we're implementing all of that stuff that we've done the consultation, and it's coming forward, whether people will decide to leak documents or not. This is where we're heading. And again, it's putting Albertans first. So maybe adapt to some of the change. The sky is not falling. You're going to get better service.
Shane,
but
thanks.
We're still gonna have Naheed Nenshi doing an hour and a half of Vogon poetry.
That was what came to me the other day. Like, literally, there's things when you're just in the middle of it. I'm thinking, well, would they allow this in Guantanamo? Like, that came to mind at one point, and then it was literally the whole Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I'm thinking, yeah, the Vogon reading poetry. Go look at 90 minutes of that, and I dare you, if you don't tap out in half an hour, you're a better man than me. I had to be there. So yeah, it's Vogon poetry, listening to Nenshi. And the other one I'll say too, that guy is an absolute paper tiger. The best thing that we can do is give that guy a microphone. There is nothing of substance. And if you want to ask a question, it's, where's Rachel? Like if I'm asking that, I may not have agreed with her, but she was actually a strong leader over on that side. They must be just listless and flapping amongst themselves right now, looking at this performance. Because if I'm asking it, they have to be.
Well, keep in mind that he was head and shoulders above the other candidates. They actually had to make a special exemption to allow him to run for leadership. They had to break their own rules and when all the funding was figured out, the final candidates were all women except him. And so they broke their own rules to let a man come in and take a job that would have rightfully been a woman's job. And you, by the way, were bang on when you pointed out his condescending attitude. There's a lot of things that irritate me about him, but that's
any prospective mashup guest. If you want to earn bonus time on the show, bring up a pop culture reference. Twos loves it. Shane is now in line with Chris Sims.
Nothing but time for Douglas Adams.
That's right. Shane, thanks for hopping on and giving us some time today. And while I'm sure it won't be the last time, but we appreciate you hopping on and clearing up some things in the headlines if people were at all interested. But certainly on this end, it's always interesting having an MLA come on and to talk about some things going on in the realm of politics.
Do appreciate it. We managed to get the clip up on Facebook now, so if you guys can share it out there so we can maybe counter some of the stuff that takes place in media. One other thing I heard too is talking about quantum computing. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole completely because like him, I've heard stuff makes you think more, but I'm going to throw one at you, and it might be a different podcast you guys do or something like that, but it's on biocomputing. So artificial intelligence is going absolutely crazy bonkers. That's hardware. They've done this other thing of trying to find out the least energy intensive path to do it. And it's literally human brain cells. So it's biocomputing. It's called Final Spark. It's already taken place for $500 a month. You can rent a little baby brain and it too will do computations for you. So go check that out. And that'll make you scratch your noodle for a while.
I'm
Mashup
so
185
right now.
Full of head scratchers. Shane Getson, thanks again for hopping on.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Shane.
Okay, can we get this show?
What do you mean? Can we get this show on the road? That was
no.
the
It is.
show.
It's fully on the
Chains
road.
on,
We've got her
chains
shoved,
on. Everything else
we've
is
got her
window
shoved
dressing.
into high gear, and let's rock and roll. I just chuckle because as soon as he did Hitchhiker's Guide, I'm like, oh boy. Two's is smiling, nodding his head.
You were
He's
just
right into it.
And I'm just like, oh yeah. I mean,
Like,
I
I
could tell
can't-
you, like
how-
it's
How
probably
am I
about
going to
chapter
steer this
4 or
back? How am I
5
going
of
to
the
pull it
first
back?
book that happened, right? It was right after Arthur Dent's house got demolished. And
Okay.
whatever. Anyways, fans,
yes.
I don't need to explain it to fans, and the people who don't understand it
Should go.
aren't going to get it anyway. But
Yeah, but
read the
yes.
damn book.
Yes. Okay.
And actually, the audiobook is one of the versions of the audiobook is narrated by Martin Freeman, who, as you probably know, played Arthur Dent in the 2005 or 2004 Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie.
Which would make the audiobook fantastic. I haven't
Yes.
checked out the audiobook, but anytime people are like, audiobook, this and that, I'm like, when it's narrated or read, I guess, by somebody who's good at it, it is fantastic. Okay, rapid fire news. Stop getting me off track here, twos. Kearney government analyzing the results of firearms buyback pilot project amid reports of low uptake. That's saying something. The Liberals kickstarted the long-delayed program with Cape Breton, Nova Scotia as its testing ground last month, hoping to collect 200 guns and evaluate its system. But the small-scale pilot has been met with pushback and little uptake. It is said they heard between 10 to 22 guns were collected, which would be less than 15% of Ottawa's stated target.
And here's the thing, that stated target is extraordinarily low. Cape Breton has a little over 100,000 people in it. Okay. And 200 guns. Keep in mind that while there's a whole lot of guns that were banned, the people who like the guns that are the first ones banned probably own a lot more than one gun, because most people, nobody has just one. It's like cold sores, okay? Except awesome. Nobody has just one gun. Like this is nobody says this is my gun. They say this is one of my guns.
So you think one person gave up their 10 guns? Maybe
basically, well, between 10 and 22, I'm guessing that could have been like at most 4 people. All right, which over out of 100,000 people is a fraction of a percent.
You want to show Dallas Brody a video? The 1BC leader, Dallas Brody, just introduced a bill to remove Truth and Reconciliation Day as a holiday in BC. I assume you want to show this, or do you just want to talk about it?
Well, here, we'll show it. It's good. It'll go a little bit long, but we'll be fine.
Bill entitled the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation Statute Repeal Act, of which a notice has been given in my name on the order paper, be introduced and read a first time now.
Oh, it's freezing.
Mr. Speaker, our bill will remove Truth and Reconciliation Day as a holiday in British Columbia. Why? Because it doesn't deserve to be one. This day celebrates the greatest lie in Canadian history, the lie that 215 bodies were found at the Kamloops Indian Residential School. But the truth is, Canadians never have committed a genocide. This holiday seeks to shame Canadians for building a civilization.
Okay, that's really good. I'm going to skip ahead to the vote.
Opposed?
Okay, here.
Member, the question is first reading of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay. And that pretty much sums it up. What do you
Elizabeth
think?
May. What?
Oh, this is good. This is good. I don't
know. Does it matter what I think? I think it's interesting. It got brought in as a bill. The only people who supported it, 1BC, and it sounded to me, I could be wrong, like everybody else voted it down. Elizabeth May now off of our Shane Getson question about Alberta and Ottawa being closer. Now Elizabeth May have her say.
Okay. All right.
There is no chance in God's green earth that there's ever going to be an oil tanker up the BC North Coast. In case you've never heard of it, the inner waters between Haida Gwaii and the coast of Canada, the west coast of Canada, is something called the Hecate Strait. You should look it up. It's the most dangerous body of water on the Canadian coastline, according to the Government of Canada, and the fourth most dangerous body of water on Earth. It has tides and currents that are extraordinary, 10 to 30 meters. They sometimes go down so low that they expose the ocean floor. That's why there's been a tanker moratorium on our north coast since 1972. And you can't wish away the science. And you can't pretend an oil tanker isn't going to break apart and contaminate the coasts, sloshing back and forth oil between the north coast of the mainland of British Columbia and the east coast of Haida Gwaii. The Haida Nation will never stand for it. British Columbians will never stand for it. They're not just barking up the wrong tree, they're barking up the wrong forest.
Really interesting. I mean, no tankers have been allowed there since 1979. It's impossible to navigate. That's just phenomenal information dump from Elizabeth May. Now, just out of morbid curiosity, let's take a look at real-time marine vessel traffic. This is the area she's talking about. This strait here. Here's Haida Gwaii or whatever it is. Now, it's impossible for tankers to navigate. Here we have a container ship in this exact strait that she's talking about. Here, what's this? Navigational status underway using engine. Speed and course 13.6 knots at 132 degrees. What ship is that?
I can't read it too,
Oh,
so you have to
sorry.
read it for me.
Sorry, that's fair. It says LNG tanker. It's impossible for anybody to navigate this with a tanker. That's why there's been a tanker ban in place since 1979. No tankers can go through it, and it's illegal for them to go through it. And yet, if I look at real-time satellite data of that exact same fucking place, there is literally an LNG tanker navigating it at this very goddamned second, motherfucker. Are you kidding me? Well,
Isn't this what we see out of our federal government? Out of our politicians? They say one thing while the truth is completely opposite of it.
now
Does this shock anyone? No. But it what was interesting to me is so Alberta said Grey Cup. We're now past Grey Cup. And it's closer than ever.
Yep.
And it's getting close. But we still don't have anything.
Yeah.
And then Green Leader comes out and says, never. This will never happen. Is it possible? Never. Just showed you it's literally happening right now.
Also, let's just here's the
you
other.
You have First Nations, you have Ebi, you have all these different people saying this is not going to happen, yet it's happening right now.
Okay. Now, let's give her the benefit of the doubt, and let's say that nothing should navigate through this strait. Okay, fair enough. We're going to cut things off from here downward. No one's going to navigate that strait. And that's why none of this can happen, is because this strait. Now, here where all these ships are, that's Prince Rupert. Okay. Now, if you look, there is a nice several 100-kilometer gap between that island and the next island north of it, Prince of Wales Island. You literally have something almost the width of a prop. Well, that's exaggerating. But you've got something pretty fucking huge to just go out into the open water. You don't have to navigate that strait. You can go straight out and then turn. That's the thing about ships, is they're fairly easy to get around things.
Kevin Damon says Elizabeth May knows about sloshing. Yeah.
Oh, yes. And so anyway, like if that's the compromise, if they say, you know what, we're not going to allow anything to go through that
There is
strait,
no compromise. They don't want anything. They don't want anything out there, twos.
No.
They don't.
They don't. But here's the thing, is that their arguments are lies based on shit.
Ontario Education Minister says he is withholding EQAO test scores. Paul Calandra said he purposefully held back the Education Quality and Accountability Office results, which are usually released in September or early October, in order to take a very deep dive into the numbers. I can only assume what those numbers say. These scores are it's supposed to be an arm's length agency of Ontario government. Tests students in grade 3 and grade 6 in reading, math, and writing every year. Grade 9 students are tested in math, and those in grade 10 take a literacy test. Quoted, I obviously have the results, but I want to make sure that I act on what I'm seeing in the results, as opposed to just handing them out there and saying, these are what they are. Man, that's literally what you're supposed to do.
That's your job.
That's your job.
Yeah. Like, we can't allow people to...
Are these results are they as bad as we think they are? No, let's take another dive into it and see if they're as bad as they are.
Is that apparently nobody in Ontario knows how to read. And even with that, they're scared of releasing these documents for people to not be able to read, because even their limited understanding would allow them to realize exactly how bad these fucking numbers are.
Correct.
Yeah.
I wanted to, okay, here. We had will Health Canada inform you that your meat is cloned? Since I've read this article, I think it's right here. You've got the food professor who was supposed to be scheduled on today's show. You didn't know that, but he was scheduled and then had to back out last night.
Well, that's funny, because I was thinking, I was like, you know what, we should see if the good doctor wants to come on today and talk about this.
He's coming on next Friday, but since then, so much has changed. Health Canada was preparing to legalize meat produced from cloned animals without informing Canadians. But late last night, the department quietly updated its website to announce it's pausing this legislation process.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is cloned meat. So for those of you who weren't following this, or maybe you missed the episodes we were talking about it, apparently you can clone cattle now, and they were just going to offer the cloned meat on the shelves right next to the other beef and not say a word about the fact that it was a clone rather than an actual, honest to goodness, regular cow. Now, the issue was that this was all just quietly, a website got updated. There was no big announcement. It wasn't, here's what we're doing and here's why we're doing it. Same thing with the CFIA and the ostriches. It's we're going to do this while avoiding as much scrutiny as possible. And that's the worst fucking way to do it. And you have to wonder what the motivation is. So first off, apparently Brookfield in 2022 acquired a 49% share in the biggest cloned meat company.
Follow the money.
There you go.
Follow the money.
Always goes back to Brookfield. Brookfield is going to be the most successful. They're going to basically, in 10 years, they're going to be Omnicorp. Okay. But, or the Umbrella Corporation, pick one. They're all the same. If you're going to sell cloned meat, all right, we're going to sit down. We're going to come up with this business plan. Okay. We're going to get meat and we're going to sell it, but we don't want to have to bother shoveling shit. Fair enough. I can see where you're coming from. It's not always fun. We don't want to have to deal with calving and 40 below, all of the other things that happen. Okay. We're just going to clone these bastards. All right. Well, what meat should we clone? Beef? Beef is the one you land on? You're going to have cloned meat, and you're going to pick the most pedestrian, albeit delicious, option out there. If I'm going to start a meat cloning company, it's going to be Brontosaurus and Panda and Dodo bird and that Tasmanian tiger that went extinct like 100 years ago. I'm going to track down some really cool, exotic, rare shit. Because if someone's going to buy cloned meat, you're going to look like, should I get a dozen chicken eggs or a dozen cloned chicken eggs? That's never going to sell. But if you're like, Well, can I get a tomahawk of a fucking panda bear? Yeah, I would try that. I would absolutely buy the shit out of that. And if these idiots can't even think that far ahead in the marketing, they're not that smart. And if they're not that smart, there's probably a lot of other issues that aren't being fucking addressed in this.
Leave it to twos to find the silver lining in all this. Fair enough. Is
Tell
it
me I'm wrong.
Fuji's founder Praz Michel sentenced to 14 years in prison? I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, it's the Fugees.
The Fuji's member Praz Michel has been sentenced to 14 years in prison after he was convicted on charges of conspiracy and illegal foreign lobbying. A judge sentenced him on Thursday after he was convicted in April 2023 on 10 counts, including violating campaign finance laws during Barack Obama's 2012 re-election bid and illegally lobbying the Donald Trump administration in 2017. According to Billboard, Michelle was handed a 14-year sentence, which will be followed by 3 years of probation.
Okay, now this is how far the Fugees have fallen, okay? Akon missed their big debut because he was in jail. I think it was for drugs or murder or something like that. All right. Then he came out later and managed to do some collab with them. But they used to be a bunch of badasses. And now, fast forward a couple decades, Michelle was initially charged in 2019 and went to trial 4 years later. The trial lasted for 3 weeks and included testimony from Leonardo DiCaprio on behalf of the prosecution. This is not the I got shot 9 times 50 cent that rap used to be. This is so fucking pedestrian. He was ordered to forfeit more than $64 million after he was found guilty of orchestrating a foreign influence campaign to coax the United States into dropping an investigation into a Malaysian financer. What in the fuck? You're a Malaysian financer facing charges, and you think your best way out of this is to get a washed up ex-rapper whose relevance ended decades ago to try and get Leonardo DiCaprio to speak on your behalf to the government? How many fucking steps are involved in this? And don't you think maybe there's a simpler way to do it?
15 more BC Conservative Riding Association board members demand party find new leader. That puts the signature total up to 30 people now, or 30 signatures.
Yeah. And keep in mind that one of those riding associations doesn't even exist anymore because of this exact same thing. The calls are mounting. The peasants are revolting.
Police investigate early morning extortion-related shooting in Abbotsford. An early morning shooting at a house in Abbotsford is linked to a continuing extortion case. Police say the Abbotsford Police Department confirmed that this is a targeted incident related to an ongoing extortion investigation. Last week, the home of a prominent business owner in Surrey was targeted by gunfire for a second time. As extortion cases continue to plague the local South Asian Canadian business community, Surrey Mayor Brenda Locke has called on the provincial and federal governments to increase police officer presence in the city by 150 to respond to extortion shootings. The Surrey police said Tuesday this year in Surrey alone, they have had 74 extortion-related victims, 101 extortion files, and 44 related shootings. And I'll tag on this. City of Surrey puts up $250,000 reward fund to combat extortion. So if the Surrey, what did it say? Surrey Police Service will handle the information received with care and sensitivity and determine the value of any reward. Payments will only be issued if information directly results in identification, prosecution, and conviction. But they've got a $250,000 reward now on extortion.
Yeah. BC's complex escalating extortion violence linked to India, says former RCMP chief superintendent. So, if you're wondering why this stuff never used to happen and why it's happening now, maybe we should check a few people's paperwork.
I didn't write it down, Twos. Sharon Carr tweet? I'm missing the tweet, though.
Okay. All right. So Sharon Carr, we talked about this last week about the AI written article.
Oh, yes.
Now,
Yes.
Now, somebody call me out on this. Did we play the race card? Did we talk about how this is something that a certain race of people, I don't even know what race she is, but whatever race it is, did we even mention the fact that she is
I'd
of
have to-
some kind of a race.
In fairness, I'd have to go back and listen to the playback, but we were talking about journalist integrity, if memory serves me correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we didn't mention race, but imagine waking up and being told your opinions are fabricated, that your thoughts and work were generated by something other than your own brain. Now add being told the real problem is your appearance, your job, your skin color, and that you should go back home. Spoiler alert, my home is Canada. You know, the funny thing is actually, I think it would be kind of a little bit tongue in cheek and hilarious, but this whole thing reads like it was written by AI. We openly criticized this article, and we did not mention her nationality, of which we don't even know what it is. Well, her nationality is Canada, Canadian, I guess, but whatever her heritage is.
Do you want to the Bangu Harmon Bangu talking about Adrian Dix? Is that further down, or do you want to bring that up right now too?
No, that's good. That's good.
Here, I'll pull it up on screen. Adrian Dix brought in the Name Act changes to stop dangerous offenders from hiding behind new identities. The legislature passed his bill unanimously because it was basic common sense. So what happened at the BC NDP convention this weekend? Their own delegates voted to repeal the very protections Dix created. Did Adrian Dix stand up for his own bill? Did he defend the safety measures he claimed were important? British Columbians need straight answers. So they voted to do away with that.
So the idea behind this bill is that convicted child molesters, once they get out of jail, can't legally change their name afterwards. So that way it isn't like, oh, hey, aren't you Bill so-and-so, the child molester? You're like, no, my name's Frank. Oh, okay, never mind then. You just kind of look like him. You must get that all the time, right? This bill was passed to avoid that exact thing. And then at the or at the NDP AGM, they said, actually, you know what? We want to get rid of it. And it passed unanimously. Now, look, I get it. You know, more business-minded, theoretically right-of-center parties, they want to look after their voter base, all right? They want their voter base to be as large as possible. And so they and take care of them. And so they promote things that are business friendly. And it just so happens that that lines up with the interests of the individuals in the country because they want to be better off financially, and the country itself because they want to be better off financially. And the Liberals, for example, they take care of their voter base, which are people who want handouts and backroom deals. Okay. Now, what does that say about the NDP when they're unanimously passing a resolution to repeal a law that would not
was
allow
designed to make
child molesters to disappear back into the folds of humanity?
Budget vote. The budget passed, Twos.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
Now, one of the things that came out was Shannon Stubbs not there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been lots of things, and MP Shannon Stubbs has been approved for medical leave. She's in the early stages of recovery from major jaw and chin surgery performed at the Royal Alexander Hospital in Edmonton. The procedure corrected a significant medical condition rooted in complications from birth. That's on her account.
Yeah, so she must have been on a 50-year wait list.
Now, if I scroll down in here, I don't know if this is all true, but for the uninformed lemmings regarding Shannon Stubbs, she tweeted in the morning, surgery fully planned and non-emergency, had full app-based voting from her phone, earns $211,000 a year plus benefits, 0 attempt to vote or arrange a proxy, already missed 2 previous confidence votes. Interesting.
Okay. You can't arrange a proxy for a confidence vote.
Okay. Thank you, too.
And apparently the app on their phone requires facial recognition. And so with her facial surgery, it was unable to recognize her. I'm guessing that there's probably, why do we even have something to hide behind in the House of Commons? But here's the thing. So this vote passed by 2. You had 2 Conservative MPs abstain. It looked like there were going to be more abstaining until it went around that it was going to be passed, because not everybody votes all at the same time. So you vote, then you vote, then you vote, then you vote. And as soon as the math got figured out, then Andrew Scheer and one other guy ran to their seats and they're like, yeah, I want to vote it down too. But if you were a cynic, you'd look at it and you would say that they were planning on abstaining from the vote if that's what was going to be required to have all of the conservatives who were there vote nay and still have it pass. And there's a bunch of people saying, well, yeah, of course that's what they did. Nobody wants to have an election right now. I want to have an election right now. Let fly the dogs of war. And the thing about it is that if there was an election, the conservatives would lose. They put their own political interest ahead of fair and honest representation of the interests of their constituents. Again, this is the exact same thing that we gave Jagmeet Singh an unending pile of shit over, because that's literally what he did for fucking months. Self-interest ahead of the interests of the constituents. That's it. And it just keeps going on like that forever. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, and you can justify this however you want. But if the conservatives were ahead in the polls, there would not have been any abstentions. Shannon Stubbs would have come in some kind of like a ridiculous, I don't know, face mask thing, like she's the Invisible Man. If that vote was necessary to push forward an election that the conservatives thought they could win, there's nothing that would have kept it from happening.
You want to read this? Or do you want Avi Lewis in here?
Yeah.
Avi Lewis. I'm with the majority of NDP caucus who voted against the austerity budget that would have made Stephen Harper smile, a gusher of corporate welfare and weapons spending that does nothing to make the lives of working people more affordable. Prime Minister Carney needs to remember he has a majority mandate instead of arrogantly forced. Sorry, thank you. Minority mandate instead of arrogantly forcing through a budget without changes, playing brinkmanship when Canadians are clear they don't want an election. Budgets like these underline the imperative of rebuilding the NDP so we can offer Canada an alternative to the disastrous pro-corporate agenda of the Liberals and Conservatives.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know who Avi Lewis is, he is one of the contenders for NDP leadership, and he sees a $78 billion deficit as an austerity budget that would make Stephen Harper smile. He looks at what is one of the biggest deficits that this country has ever had, with it's not like everybody's scared of COVID still, and we've still got this, and he sees it as an austerity budget. Avi Lewis perfectly encapsulates the thoughts and beliefs of the majority of NDP voters. And I can't think of a person who would be better suited to represent those thoughts and beliefs on the world stage than Avi Lewis.
Let's do some elbow draggers, shall we? Instead of elbows up, elbows down, folks. Canada stuck in a vicious circle of low productivity, Bank of Canada says. Here's a couple quotes. To put it bluntly, we're stuck in a vicious circle. When productivity is weak, it's much harder to meet current challenges and seize opportunities for the future. There's no quick or easy way to improve productivity, and no single sector can do it alone. The challenge is complex, and long-standing structural issues are at play. If we want to fix this, we'll need to be thoughtful, systematic, and resolute. Mr. Vincent went further in his remarks on Wednesday by suggesting 3 areas policymakers should focus on: improving the country's investment climate, increasing competition, and developing talent. A certain level of regulation is essential, of course, but it's fair to ask if we could regulate better. This could mean speeding up approval processes, reevaluating the scope of some rules, and reducing the overall uncertainty around regulation. We also need to address overlap, redundancies, and contradictions between the different levels of government.
Wow. You listen to that, you think, well, he's obviously a fan of the mashup. This is the drum that we have been beating for years.
We can actually say that now. Well, I mean, we're going on over 3 years of the show. So yes, you can actually say that.
Like, we have literally been saying for 3 years that Canada is going to a dark place, and there is a very easy, simple solution, and it's to get rid of the federal government and provincial governments, but government in general, just fucking with everybody who wants to be successful.
You have Ryan Gibson showing this. Name this band. It's Kamala Harris and Chrystia Freeland on stage with, I assume, Kamala Harris's new book.
Kamala Harris's new book and Chrystia Freeland. And look, I am just so tired, Sean. We got to have our elbows up. We got like that thing Trump did at the speech that one time. You know, we got to do elbows up. Elbows up is super important, and I'm really tired of our extremist politicians bringing U.S. style politics onto our soil.
There's this. All right, Market Mania. I'll pull this up. Okay, it says Canada at number 33, U.S. at number 39. The dynamic duo of bad public and private healthcare. This is countries with the best healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
We're not even on the list.
So we're third. We're the third highest in terms of or as a percentage of economy. We talked about this before with Shane, and I was looking for this. I put it in the wrong spot. That's why it's here. But we're not even on the list of top 30 for healthcare overall,
which shocks nobody because
we're third in spending.
If you talk to anyone searching out like major procedures, where are they searching? Anywhere but Canada, because the wait times, if you can even get it done, are ridiculous.
And if you get it done, they're going to fuck it up.
You got president of the CBSA union reveals that Canada lets in refugees via an app on their phone due to understaffing. No physical interaction ever occurs. They land and click a few buttons and walk into Canada and get money. 10% don't even use the app. I don't know. You could show the video if you want to.
That's a really good summary. But here's what it is. This is one of our bureaucrats.
And that's called One Touch. So essentially we get tombstone data. We do some biometrics. And the claimant is then allowed into the country to complete their security screening and such on their own through the One Touch system. They have, I believe it's 45 days to submit that.
So they say they're a refugee. And then somebody in the government says, okay, download this app on your phone. And then you have 45 days to fill out all of the stuff required on this app. 10% of the people who do that don't. They just disappear. So you go up, you say, hi, my name's Sean. I'm here to claim refugee status. Do you have any questions? And they say, no, we're too busy. Download this app and fill it out in 45 days. You say, okay, cool. See you later. And that's how you get into this country, or one of the ways that you get into this country.
One of the ways, yes. Nutrien rules out Canada for new export terminal, chooses U.S. site. They've elected Longview, Washington for its new export terminal worth up to $1 billion, a blow to the Carney government after it promised to attract sizable investment in mining and resource sectors. Saskatoon-based Nutrien is the largest global producer of potash, and it went on to say, quoted, logistics are a really important component of ensuring that Canadians' potash can be competitive on the global stage, said Mr. Reynolds, who added that global potash demand is expected to grow from 72 million tons to 80 million tons by 2030. The long-term stability of Canadian potash is what is best for Canada, Mr. Reynolds said. Transporting potash is more expensive than mining it, he said, and to stay competitive, the company needs to focus on capital costs. If we're not competitive from a logistic point of view, and if we have a misstep here, that's not going to be good for Canadian potash. This is helping Canadian potash remain competitive for the long term.
The best thing that we could do to keep Canadian potash competitive is to get it out of the country as quickly as possible and then deal with it somewhere else.
Yes, correct.
One of the other things here, recent labor strikes at the port and the Canadian railways have also been a source of uncertainty for Canada's shippers, Nutrien included. One of the deciding factors of this was the uncertainty of, okay, if we set it up to go to Vancouver, well, there's a whole lot of people that are all unionized and swing way too big a stick, and they could really fuck things up. So even though there is a few things happening in this country right now, they're done in a way that just like, okay, like as soon as it's out of the ground, we got to get it out of the country. And there we can figure out how to disperse it globally. That's the state of Canada right now.
The Winnipeg Sun, is this the beginning of Canada's collapse? It's talking about separation and how people shouldn't write this off. One of them is Quebec. Says the timing isn't fixed, but the direction is unmistakable. While most Quebecers still oppose separation, the PQ is gaining momentum. Ignoring that would be irresponsible. And then it says, but the most pressing dangers coming from the west, and warning signs are impossible to miss. It says Saskatchewan is home to one of the largest carbon sequestration projects on the planet. It earns applause in Europe and Asia, but barely a mention in its own country. How long can a federation survive when the engine of its economy is treated like an inconvenience? For provinces like Manitoba, this is a direct threat. If Alberta and Saskatchewan decide they've had enough, equalization payments collapse. Manitoba would face financial devastation. Services would be slashed. Our economy would take a hit that would take generations to recover from. These are not speculative warnings; they're mathematical realities. The article goes on and on and on and on.
But the point is that this is the perspective of somebody. This is in the Winnipeg Sun. This is a Manitoban perspective on. We should probably stop being such dicks to the people who are paying all of the bills. Because if they stop paying all the bills, we're fucked. That's the gist of this article.
Chinese blades near Mount St. Anne. The 171 blades for the first phase of the largest wind power project under construction in Quebec do indeed come from China. It has been learned, even though a wind turbine blade factory that has already been subsidized by the government is in operation in Quebec.
The mayor of the town where that factory is says that they actually saw the wind turbine blades going by.
So they
got manufactured in China. So they subsidize a wind turbine factory in fucking Quebec. And then they get somebody in China to build these wind turbine blades. They put them on a fucking boat, go all the way across the Pacific, get them on a train, go all the way across one of the biggest countries in the world, the second biggest country in the world, to the other fucking end of it, drive past said factory on their way to be installed. And that is somehow a great way to run a fucking country?
Top Ukrainian ministers submit their resignations as the country is rocked by a corruption scandal. Responding to public backlash, Zelensky called for the dismissal of his justice and energy ministers. Amid the investigation, they later submitted their resignations, the prime minister said. Anti-corruption watchdogs, the same agencies Zelensky sought to weaken earlier this year, revealed the findings of a 15-month investigation, including 1,000 hours of wiretaps, resulting in the detention of 5 people, and another 7 linked to about $100 million in kickbacks in the energy sector.
Internally, this scandal will be used to undermine unity and stability within the country. Externally, our enemies will use it as an argument to stop aid to Ukraine. It looks really bad in the eyes of our European and American partners. You know who else has been a big funder of the Ukraine? They got left off that list? Us. And yeah, it does look fucking bad. And you're saying like, oh, it's just a one-off. Sure, we have a bunch of corruption in this industry, but everything else is on the up and up, and you can keep sending us money.
And did we bring up the fact that Chrystia Freeland was going to be in Ukraine, but now she's moving to the UK? Is there any timing there that's interesting?
Well, actually, that is kind of interesting as far as the timing goes. I saw that this morning, but I didn't have enough time to get into it because I don't know the specifics of. So she's still an MP. She's also the ambassador for economic
special
growth for
envoy to
Ukraine.
Okay. Yes.
Now, does she still have that job? Is she resigning as a member of parliament? Because she's now.
I find it interesting. This huge scandal is breaking in Ukraine, and all of a sudden, Chrystia Freeland.
And now she's going to be the CEO of Rhodes.
Correct.
Which happens to be where, what's his name? Oh, yes, Mark Carney did his master's and PhD.
Carney, yes. Okay, drivers, show this video, please, of Edmonton. This is great. Carry on.
Okay. I'm just going to caption this saying, the buck stops. My neck is red. All right. The audio is a song, but somebody like they haven't even field dressed this deer. There's just a whole ass deer that they're dragging
towed behind.
And it's a pretty decent rack on that deer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I was waiting for it to catch fire. Like, I was wondering, is it going to spark and light up? I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, there's spark coming off of it, so presumably something, I don't know, with, you can't really tell what it's being dragged with, but there's some kind of metal in there because it's sparking off the road, which means that it's probably not going to be there for too long. Like, does he even know it's there? Like, did someone just tie a buck to the back of his car as a joke? Hey, I'm failing to see the point here. And if he keeps driving much longer, so will that
Yeah,
deer.
if that isn't goofy enough, here's some goofy stuff for you. Fire at COP30, the summit in Brazil. You want to show the video of the summit fire?
Of course I want to see. So COP30, the International Climate Change Conference that gets held in some ridiculous exotic location every fucking year, is apparently, I don't know, people are saying that this place is absolutely I love this. Climate Live, Entertainment Culture Pavilion.
On fire. You
Okay,
show
seriously, like, let's talk about the impact of that to the environment. How much carbon dioxide was released into the atmosphere when that happened? How many other dangerous chemicals? Like, the only saving grace about having it at the World Climate Conference is that all the planes there are already burnt as much as it would have anywhere else.
You want to show Avi Lewis's video?
Actually, I don't.
Unequivocally opposed to any.
I changed my mind.
Oh,
He's an
all right,
idiot,
fair enough. Let's
and I
move
hope
on.
he wins.
How about the real Mr. Bench video?
Yeah, I gotta reload it here real quick because it's acting funny. Bear with me half a sec. This is
If you want to stick on COP30, Canadian doctors lead a dance and rap performance. You could do that too.
no, I got this. I got this. So for those of you listening, this is just a guy driving along on his skidoo, and he's bumping around, and he sinks in, and he falls down, but not as far as his pants did. He is stuck in the snow upside down, and his pants stayed up, but he's inverted, and so now his ass is hanging out the
Kind of
bottom
looks
of
like our federal
upside down.
government, doesn't it?
It's yeah. It's an upside down asshole. That's basically what our government is on every issue. So anyways, it doesn't have anything to do with the news. I just thought it was hilarious.
Show Canadian. I don't want to show this either, but if you want to talk COP30, all right, here, fine. Show this one.
Here we go. These are Canadian doctors who travel all the way to Brazil to perform this song. That's what Canada is spending their money on.
Correct. You want to show the video of Philadelphia?
No, I just want to talk
Philadelphia's
about
lost their SNAP. All right, 1/3 of Philadelphia's lost their SNAP benefits during the government shutdown. So instead, community members have come together and created food distribution sites to feed the people of Philadelphia for free, because food should be a human right, not a political bargaining tool.
So this is from the Party for Socialism and Liberation. This is a Twitter account advocating for socialism, and they're talking about how when the government stopped providing free food to people, the community stepped in to take care of it themselves. So when the government stopped being socialist about the food, the free market and the individuals within it took care of the problem without the need of government intervention. And at no point did they clue into the fact that the video they're showing makes the exact opposite point of everything that they believe in.
Secretary Sean Duffy, it's not your imagination. Traveling has become more uncivilized. Here's some facts. 400% increase in bursts on planes since 2019. 1 in 5 flight attendants report experiencing physical incidents. Unrelieved passengers events doubled since 2019. It doesn't have to be this way. The golden age of travel starts with all of us. It's time to bring back civility and manners when we travel.
This is gold.
Air travel, dignity of air travel, and the men and women who made the dream possible. Flying was a bastion of civility, but today.
The government put out this video basically telling people to start acting like grown-ups.
Toronto orders kids basketball, hockey nets removed by encampment stay. This is another one of these things where you're like, this can't be real, but it's
exactly
real.
what I would expect.
Yes.
So this basketball net, and there's maybe a better picture of it. There was a better picture of it somewhere else. Right here. So technically it's on the utility right of way, but that's fine. That's totally normal. Lots of things are like that everywhere in every city. But they said that it needs to be removed for the consideration of snow removal on the street in the winter. It looks like it's about 4 or 5 feet off the curb, and it's been there since 2019.
Wouldn't you say somebody's got a dick for a neighbor?
Oh, somebody's absolutely got a dick for a neighbor. But also, if you're working at, I don't know, the call center for the city of Toronto or anywhere, and you get a call like that, be like, okay, well, I'm sorry, what's the problem? What's the issue?
I'm going to stop here, right here. Is our audio getting bad? Is this a one-off? Or are we?
I don't know.
I don't feel I can hear you clearly, twos, but
okay.
But if anyone else is having issues, let us know. Hit us
You
up in the
sound,
comments, 'cause I'd like to know.
You sound just normal. But it's been there for 6 years. Somebody says terrible. I don't know. We can't. It's somewhere past us because you sound fine to me and I sound fine to you.
I know we had this issue. Remember, we had this issue like a month ago.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going on.
I don't know. Maybe we got to talk to StreamYard about it. But anyway, bear with us, folks. It has been for a while. I assume he means today.
Yeah.
So anyway. Yes, bad. Okay, we get it. Thank you for the feedback, everybody. Yes, it's bad audio.
Me and twos are having fun. We're having fun. We're lagging everywhere else.
Someone is messing with your stream. Isn't that probably the case? I had an interesting phone call with Mrs. Twos yesterday where just the call just did sort of weird things, jumped around. You couldn't complete the call, and then it hung up when picked up, and then I just hit the button to call back. I was driving. I hit the button to call her back, and then it said call can't be completed as dialed. And I'm like, I just hit the button to redial. I didn't type anything in. So yes, I'm pretty sure that CSIS is now. They got mad at us after teasing them last week, and they're too chicken to come out to the mash spiels.
Well, then knowing that twos, let's maybe speed it up here and finish it off because I assume it's not going to get better. We've learned this issue before. The food professor put out, one reader sent me these pictures. I hate this. Grapes advertised in Imperial at $3.89 a pound in big numbers, but charged $11 a kg at the till, roughly 25% more. Please check your receipts under the scanning code of practice. You can get these grapes for free when the scan price is higher than the shelf price. Most grocers adhere to it.
I had no idea that was a rule.
You have Vancouver Sun here. Put this out.
Yeah.
BC Human Rights Chief declares that it's colonialist to stigmatize drug use. That's in the Vancouver Sun.
No. Now here, if you click on the link, where does it take you?
I didn't even click on the link.
404 missing page. They took it down. They forgot to delete the tweet talking about this article, but they removed the article, saying that stigmatizing drug use is colonialist. It's basically being racist against First Nations people. And unlike last week when we were the only ones noticing that was racist, apparently other people are also noticing that saying that stigmatizing drug use is racist is actually pretty racist.
You have a new poll in Canada, most important issue, Trump-U.S. relations at 17%, jobs economy at 17%.
Yeah, inflation 8%, healthcare 8%, immigration 7%, environment 4%, debt deficit 4%, housing 3%, education 2%, crime 1%. Here's the thing. Job/economy is the same thing as inflation, which is the same thing as debt deficit, which is the same thing as housing. And arguably, in the state of things in this country, you could also throw immigration in there too. They're asking, this is the same thing. This is the same thing we covered like a month ago. They're asking the same thing 7 different ways so that it gets parsed into different things when it's the same fucking problem.
BC wolves figure out how to pull up crab traps to get food. It was a clever video. Or I'm not a clever video. I mean a clever wolf.
Here's the wolf. He's pulling the buoy out. And then if you fast forward a little bit, he's literally pulling the crab trap out. And then if you fast forward a little bit more, he goes in there and he opens it up. And then you see him later on, he's got the crabs out and or actually that's a fish, I guess, in this video, and he's eating it. The wolves have figured out how to pull the crab trap. So what happened was the fishermen were like, well, someone's stealing our fucking crab, like someone's stealing from our traps.
And it's a wolf.
So they set up cameras to catch the guy doing it. And then it turns out, nope, it was Caninus lupus.
Academy nudges voters to actually watch all the Oscar contenders this year. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences members must confirm that they have watched all movies nominated in each category in order to be allowed to vote. I don't think anything needs to be said, dudes.
Yeah. Yeah. So a new policy with the Academy is that the people voting on who should win the awards have to actually watch the movies first.
You want to show the real Mr. Bench tweet?
Yeah. So, I mean, we make fun of Doug Ford for doing this, and Wob Canoe, maybe not the smartest guy ever. People say he's really good looking and well spoken, but you look at all the dumb shit that Doug Ford's doing, and he's like, "Oh, I'd like to try that too."
In Headingley, we decided to pop in with this, a brand new Liquor Mart pop-up. Meme culture right here. My friend Danielle Smith. My friend Doug Ford. For the refined palate. I think this is the official drink of beer league. Cool.
Yeah. So he's taking a page out of Doug Ford's book, and there are no good pages in that book.
In the saga that never seems to end, we're clearly overstaffed, says Canada Post CEO, as losses top $1 billion this year. Canada Post facing deep losses. The Crown's Corporation CEO said Tuesday the company expects to lose up to 30,000 employees to retirement or voluntary departure over the next decade as it tries to get costs under control. 30,000 twos.
Did I call it or did I call it? They did the round of layoffs to management to give themselves a landing pad to absolutely slash. Think about that, 30,000. So if the average labor participation rate in Canada is somewhere around, I don't know, call it 66%. I think that's a little bit high. That would mean that you're looking at, that is like a single job in a city with 45,000 people in it.
You want to show the video of Carney getting booed at the Grey Cup, or maybe he didn't get booed. Maybe Winnipeg fans were just singing a song.
Well, yeah, I want to talk about the Grey Cup.
Do you want to show it?
Okay, so here's the video. So that was that, and there's also here's somebody saying, "How come we watched the game and never seen that? It's up to you to prove it. I don't believe you." Saying that no, he didn't get booed.
He definitely got booed.
And oh yeah, he totally got booed. And then
here's
the
speaking of a boo. Here's Bouchard. Show the Bouchard video.
No. I'm not done with this yet. I want to show the coin flip. I can't find it though. Where's the coin flip?
I know you got a ton of tabs open there.
Yeah, because we covered a ton of things. Anyway, when Carney came out to do the coin flip and got booed hugely. And so then you've got these people trying to be apologists for it. Table Salt posting more misinformation. Winnipeg shout blue. He wasn't saying boo. He was saying blue.
They saying boo Burns or Burns.
Oh, look, they're cheering for you. They're saying, let's go, Brandon. They weren't saying boo. They were saying blue.
Fantastic stuff. Okay, I was saying boomer. I love it. Okay.
Let's go, Brandon. Yeah, sure. I mean, I got to give it to the Edmonton Oilers. They've been in there's a lot of highlight reels featuring them lately.
The puck protection, the leaning in, the strength, and then look at his skill level. Forehand, backhand. No chance for Stuart Skinner.
Show the Buffalo one. The Buffalo one made me chuckle.
The Buffalo one is yes.
Yeah, right here. This is great. I'm an Oilers fan.
I gotta. Here we go. What was the final score of the Buffalo game?
5-1, 6-1. Can't remember. I don't know if I really care. Carry on.
Something like that. And then this is froze right up. Oh, everything's froze.
Everything froze. Okay. I'm
see you.
Mashup 185. Okay. Happy news. Can you hear me, Goose?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah. Well. Oh, great.
Okay. Talk about the. I feel like everything's about to crash here on my side. Talk about the silver and the gold and how the Chinese have found
happy news. Okay? I hear you. All right. 3 things here.
Okay.
Happy news. 79-year-old vet, Vietnam vet, who was fatally shot naked. Intruder speaks from hospital bed. I made sure I was going to kill him. There's the fisherman searching for worms, finds 20,000 medieval silver coins. That happened in Sweden. And then a massive gold deposit worth 192 billion has been discovered in China. So that's some of the happy news we got.
Do you think that they actually discovered $192 billion worth of unmined gold? Or do you think
wants to keep talking? Likely... Everybody keeps telling me we have problems here, which means this sucks. Let's get on to community notes. The UCPA
they found a hoard of Nazi gold and they're trying to cover it up.
Mashpeel, January 17th. Get your tickets, folks. Get your teams. We got 11 left. And the Cornerstone Forum returns March 28th at the Westin Calgary Airport. That is March 28th. That's going to be a fun time. We got lots of great things. Mashup 185. It's been great at the start. It seems we've gone off the rails. And twos, as always. I don't know what else to say.
Thanks for being along for the ride, everybody.
We'll catch up with you next week. Mashup here every Friday, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Normally, we don't have so many issues, but today it seems like there's issues.
Well, it's happening somewhere after this. And I saw somewhere in the comments, they were saying that a lot of people who use StreamYard have been having issues in the past couple of weeks.
Interesting. Well,
yeah,
folks, thanks again. Twos, as always. We'll catch up to you next week.
All right. Blue.
Welcome to the Mashup.
Tell me whether I'm wrong or right. East or west, up or down, side to side. I sit to stand and fall to fly. Of all of my impulsive plans, popping, locking, salsa dances on demand. I follow leading off the map and stop the chatter, scream happily.
Welcome to the Mashup.
Welcome to the Mashup.